close to my face, please.
Okay. Mr. LaPotre, in one word.
Influential.
One word.
Illuminating.
Present.
Generous.
Giving.
Compassion.
Passionate.
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 Amazing.
Fun.
Inspirational.
Vibrant.
Committed.
Timeless.
Peace.
I don't know that that's possible.
Just a very passionate, very sincere, very eager.
He believes that every student deserves to learn.
Looks at me, he tells me how wonderful I am, and then he shows me how to find my own greatness.
No matter what is going on in his life, he takes the time to give you his full attention.
I mean, look at him. He's clearly discovered the fountain of middle age. He has not aged a day in the last 20 years.
And he's one of the few people that I can say, honestly, lets everyone believe that they're special.
He is extremely bright, but he has a huge soul.
Christian lives in the present. He is in the moment. He is completely available for the moment.
It meant so much to me for him to encourage thought outside of not only mathematics but traditional education.
Up until very recently, I thought that Mr. LaPotre just really loved me. I realized that he brings this level of presence to a lot of his interactions.
His light and love and joy shine out of him, and everybody feels it.
He is passionate about peace and nonviolence, and that passion that he expresses is infectious. So when I'm around him, I feel passionate too.
So in my first year of teaching, it was really difficult, and one day I had a really bad day with my student, and he really hurt my feeling. So I went to talk to Mr. LaPotre for the support, and he gave me a very good support, and I went back to my classroom. But what is special is that Mr. LaPotre think that I can use some more support, so he rounded up all his students from my AP Calculus BC at the time and came in my classroom to surprise me, and each one of them lined up and gave me a hug.
The story that Christian has told me several times and others is the story of why he's here. And why he is here is because, as he says, he grew up on the beaches of Normandy, and his life was made possible because the Americans stormed those beaches and transformed France to the nation that it is today, and it made his life possible.
I gave him a hard time. I went to his classroom later and gave him a hard time about what he was listening to, and I must have caught him at a bad time because he just he blew his step. I just walked away and went to my room, and knowing the next day that he's going to apologize, and so, because he always apologizes, to kids, to anybody. I mean, he really cares about what he does and says, and apologizes profusely. I mean, he's just like, hey, I'm really sorry. And I just said, Christian, I forgave you before you did it.
I sat down at Christian's desk and I thought, well, this is going to be easy. I don't need to do anything except take attendance. All I need to do is get a pencil. Well, I'm in a math class. How easy will that be? But I was in Christian LaPotre's classroom, which is unique, just as Christian is unique. So there I sat at his desk. I pulled open a drawer, expecting to find what you would normally find in a teacher's drawer. But instead, I was delighted to discover a series of beautiful objects that you wouldn't expect to find in a teacher's desk. There were gems and feathers and seashells and fabrics, and I thought, okay, let's try another drawer. And every drawer I opened had a different treasure. There was nary one item that was useful, in my opinion, to a teacher. There were no pencils, no erasers, no whiteout, no staplers, no tapes, just drawer after drawer filled with natural objects.
One day he asked, it was a Friday afternoon, probably getting toward the end of the year, kind of like it is now, and it was warm, I remember that. And he asked, what was I going to do this weekend? And I said, my friend Dan and I were going to go over to his dad's house on the coast, and he was going to make us surf and turf. And Christian said, what is that? Surf and turf? What is surf and turf? And I explained to him, you have some lobster or crab or something like that. That's the surf part, and then you have steak. And this is when I wasn't a vegetarian, right? So it was a big deal to go and get surf and turkey. And he said, "Oh my God, it's wonderful. That sounds like the best thing." And then from then on, during the year, whenever I did a good job on a problem, or he liked some improv that I had done with my comedy troupe, or a cartoon that I had drawn for the newspaper, he would say, "Oh, Chris, what you did, it was surf and turf."
The other thing I'll remember about LaPotre is a little story about rugby. And rugby is a sport that's been really important to me, and also not easy to find a lot of rugby players around here. But LaPotre found out I played rugby, and he was like, "Oh, I played rugby," and was all excited about it, and that was kind of it. And we went our ways, and I was thinking, what position did he play? I think about this a lot. So like, what position did he play? How long did he play? So next time I got a chance to catch up with him, I asked him about the details of rugby, and he said he played wing, which I'm not surprised. Wing is a position for the fast players, and he looked fast to me. And then I asked him how long he played, and he said he played for 17 minutes total. And he said when he was on wing, he was a winger, and he finally got the ball. He started running, and he saw who was coming to tackle him, and he just ran straight out of bounds, and I think just kept running. And that was the end of the career. He ended with, I'm more of a soccer player.
So years ago, we taught an SAT workshop, and he was with the students. It's probably 6 o'clock in the evening. They were solving a problem in a very kind of investigative way, and he said, "Oh, this is like Bishop. Bishop would do this." And he said, "He's probably at home cooking right now for his family." And he said, "How about we all think really hard and we send energy? Wouldn't it be funny if he burned his hand, spilling a pot of boiling water in his hand?" And he's kind of a cosmic kind of guy with this karma stuff. And so one of his students who was in the class told me about this, and I thought, I'm gonna get him. And so I bandaged my hand up in a big wrap, and I walked in at lunch, and he sees my hand, and he says, what happened? And I said, "Oh, it was crazy. Last night I was cooking dinner, I don't know, about 6 o'clock, and I was making spaghetti, and I spilled a big pot of boiling water in my hand." And he just looks at me going, "Oh no, what have I done? What have I done to my friend?" And I open my hand up, and I said, "See?" And he looks down, and he's going, "Oh, oh." And then he looks up, and he realizes it's all a joke.
When I was in high school, Mr. LaPotre was one of my favorite teachers. It was at this time in my life that I began playing music. It was at that time, when I was 15 years old, that AFI formed in our high school. And Mr. LaPotre, my algebra teacher, was so supportive of us. Christian would be elated every time we managed to get our way into the studio and record our version of what he so kindly called music. He would stop class and take our 7-inches and put them on the record player that he had in his class because he was a music fan, and make the entire class listen to and sustain our earliest works.
One morning we were walking into the school and out from the parking lot, and we were both looking rather sad, and we looked at each other and said, "Oh," Christian said this, I didn't, "what a sad day this is today." And I said, "I know." And he said, "The death of George Harrison is so tragic." And I said, "I know, there went the sun." And he said, "While my guitar gently weeps." From that understanding of music is how we became really good friends. He shared with me so many beautiful songs and artists that I would never know. His son Jesse and my son Adam were very good friends, and Jesse would come over, and they looked exactly alike. Big, broad smiles, blonde, round faces. And Jesse would come over, and Adam came out one time and said, "Jesse's other dad speaks French." And I went, "Oh, okay." And then they go in the bedroom and shut the door.
and I would hear Jesse and Adam and several other boys learning all the French cuss words.
And Sandy would pull up and with LaPotre in the passenger seat, you know, next to our car, and we'd be down there at the fire station where we would meet up.
Those car rides were the times when I was really with a true, honest-to-God friend, a gentleman, a scholar.
And she would pop open the trunk, and I'd pop open my trunk, and we'd go and pull out this big cardboard box from the back of their car, and we'd drag it, and it had papers going every which way, and it was a ton of student work. And we'd put it back in my car and close the trunk and jump in, and away we'd go to school.
I always felt every time he got in the car like, my friend is here.
Really liked having LaPotre with us, you know? It's like an honor, you know, to have that guy in your car going to school with him.
All the good things you can say about a guy, like, he's my guy, and I love him, and I'm gonna miss him so much.
Attendance clerks would come into the office and say, I can't get him to turn his stuff in. And what am I gonna do about it? I mean, attendance is one of those nasty things that if we don't have it, or if we don't record it well, then we don't get paid. So it's a really important thing. But on Christian's list of maybe 100 things, it could be 99. So Christian and I would have a conversation, because I said, oh, let me talk to him. And I would talk to him. Well, maybe we could make a commitment for a day or 2 or 3, and we would agree, and he would smile and I would smile. I knew he wouldn't do it tomorrow. He might remember that day, but there were things that came up. Getting to class on time was difficult because he was doing something for kids. Maybe that was a reason to be upset, but what it was an indication of how much he cared about what he did, not about the time, not about the details.
Mr. LaPotre, thank you for everything you've taught me.
Christian, I want to thank you.
I wanted to say thank you.
Maestro, good luck and my best wishes for you.
I wanted to say thank you for making class so much fun and for always making all the students laugh, and we're gonna miss you.
Mr. LaPotre, thank you for teaching me how to be successful.
Mr. LaPotre, you're one of the most compassionate and most intelligent men I know. Thank you for being a part of my life.
Mr. LaPotre, thank you for solving all my problems.
Thank you for being part of the math department.
Thanks for being awesome. I really aspire to be like you. I'm really glad I got to meet you and hear your words.
Mr. LaPotre, from myself, Scott Porzio, and the custodial crew, we'd like to wish you a happy retirement.
Merci for l'intensa, LaPotre.
I barely met you this year, and all your talks to our class have been really inspirational. So thank you, Mr. LaPotre.
Thank you, Mr. LaPotre, for all the inspirational speeches you give us every day in class.
It's been a gift, and so thank you, Christian.
Thank you, Mr. LaPotre.
I say thank you on behalf of my family.
To him, I say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LaPotre, for being who you are.
I'm just in his debt. I treasure the memory. I'm a lucky guy to have made his acquaintance and to say that we work together.
I would sit in the back seat and listen to my two favorite guys talk. And
Oh, wait a minute. I thought I was one of your favorites.
No.
At least number 3.
Number 3.
Okay.
Well, Doth's number 3, so.
4?
McClanahan.
Kit, 5?
I don't know. We'll have to think
Thanks.
about it.
Thanks, Kate.